How's everybody doing? Today I want to talk to you guys about a very important decision that retirees have to make, which is when are you going to take CPP and OAS? This is actually a really difficult decision because if you get this wrong, it could actually mean the difference between having a comfortable retirement and having a really uncomfortable last few years of your retirement and life. So you kind of want to get this right, and like I said, it's not an easy decision. The problem with this decision and a lot of financial planning decisions is that people make them based on, what their sister did or their coworker did. And CPP and OAS is a really tricky one, especially because somebody might say, well, my sister took it at 60, so I did, and she did it because of this. Well, unless your sister is in the exact same financial situation as you are, and unless you and your sister are going to live to the exact same age, then you shouldn't make your decision based on that. I mean, it's just not a good way to go about making your decision. The other reason people take it early a lot of the times is because, who doesn't want more money in their pocket today? But is that always going to be the right thing? And no, it's not. I mean, sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. So we'll get into it. First thing we need to talk about is a few of the basics of CPP and OAS. And I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but I have made videos explaining exactly what you get and a lot more of the rules, and I'll post them down in the comments. First thing with CPP, it's just something that you get an amount based on how much you put into that over the course of your career along with your employer. And right now, if you took CPP at 65 years old, the maximum amount that a Canadian is going to get is $1,155 per month. But the average Canadian at 65 is only getting about $679 per month because they didn't max out their CPP contributions over the course of their career. And then with OAS, OAS is based on how long you've lived in Canada. So as long as you've lived in Canada for at least 40 years over the age of 18, then you're going to get maximum OAS at 65 years old, which in today's dollars is $607 per month. Now the good thing about both of these pension benefits is that they increase with inflation as you get older, as the cost of living goes up. So you're going to get like a slight raise every quarter or half a year or whatever, but it is going to work in your benefit in the long term. Another thing that you need to know about both of these benefits is they're completely 100% taxable as income. So that's very important to consider. So now we got to talk about how they change. And CPP and OAS are a little bit different, but they're fairly similar. So I'll just go with CPP first and then OAS second. You say, okay, well, why wouldn't I just take it as early as possible? Well, the government sort of wants to keep money in their pockets, so they're trying to incentivize you to leave that money in their hands for longer. But it actually might be more beneficial for you to do that. And so we'll kind of get into it. So with CPP, you can take it anywhere between the ages of 60 and 70 years old. And 65 is like your number that you're shooting for, where people were supposed to retire at 65 and they're supposed to start taking it now. So any month you take it before the age of 65, you're going to get a 0.6% reduction in how much you're going to get. So if you take it 5 years early, you're going to get a 36% reduction in your CPP. And then every month after 65 up until 70, you're going to get a 0.7% increase in how much you would have got. So your maximum is going to go up because you're delaying getting it. And so if you delay all the way till 70, then you're going to have a 42% increase in your CPP amount. Actually works out to a lot of money. OAS is quite similar, but you can't take it before 65 years old. So the only thing you can do is delay taking it upwards till 70 years old, and you're going to get a 0.6 increase every month that you delay up until 70, so a maximum increase of 36%. I hope that makes sense. Well, there are two more things I kind of need to discuss before I get into like an example and actually when to take CPP and OAS. And the first is with CPP, which is something called the post-retirement benefit. Makes things a little bit more complicated and confusing, but say in between 60 and 65, you decide to take your CPP, but you're still working. Well, now you have to be contributing to CPP still, so you're going to be getting X amount of dollars, and that's going to go up a little bit every month because you're still contributing to it. And then after 65, you can choose. I'm not going to really explain it too much more than that, but it's a thing, so you can take it in and get an increase over time if you're still working. And with OAS, this is something everybody knows about OAS for some reason, which is called the OAS clawback, which means basically if you make too much money, the government just isn't going to give you old age security anymore. But it is quite a bit of money that you actually have to make before they're going to start clawing this back. And how it works is basically if you make after tax, this is your after tax individual income, not you and your spouse, so this is just you after tax. If you make over $77,580, you're going to start getting a decrease for every dollar you make beyond that. Until you make over $125,937 after tax, then you're not going to get old age security in the following year because they base it on the previous year's income. So those are things to consider. That's a big consideration to make, especially if you're still working. So now let's just get into an example of how much money you're going to get. And for my example, I'm going to use full OAS of $607 a month at 65 years old. And I'm going to use $1,000 a month at 65 for CPP. Because most people realistically just don't quite hit the maximum. There's a couple years where they maybe didn't make enough money. So if you take it at 60, you're not getting any old age security at all, and you're getting CPP in the amount of $640 a month. You've taken a 36% decrease in the amount, so you're getting $7,680 per year. We get to 65, CPP, you got $1,000 a month. OAS, you got $607 a month. You have a total income of $19,284 a month. Not too bad. Now if we delay that all the way to 70, now you're going to get the 42% increase on the CPP and the 36% increase on the old age security. So now we're looking at $1,420 a month in CPP and $826 a month in old age security. So a total of $26,952 a year, which is a $7,668 increase, or $639 a month, which could make a huge difference later in life. So now we're going to talk about where does this break even? What if I take it early and then I invest that money? Obviously that's what I'm going to do, or hopefully that's what you're going to do. So how does that work out? That's a very hard thing for me to generally say, let's find your break-even point, because it totally depends on what your tax rate is. It totally depends on what your rate of return is going to be on your investments. And so all I'm going to do is I'm just going to talk about how much money came in and then was taxed, and where is that break-even point. So if you take it at 60, and I'm just comparing CPP now, I'm taking old age security out of the equation, just CPP, because I want to get into the rest of my video. This is going a little long already. So where is that break-even point? So basically, this is just money. This is all I'm saying. So if you take it at 65 instead of 60 with your CPP, you're basically going to start having more money in your pocket after the age of 73. Now, if you wait until 70 instead of 65, then it starts to beat it once you're after about the age of 81. So now we're going to talk about reasons to take it early and reasons to delay. And the very first and biggest reason why you would take it early is if you think that your life expectancy really isn't that long. You're entering your 60s and you're like, I'm ill, you're going to take it. You may as well get some of your money back from the money you put into your pension. It's just something that you should do. Another reason why you might take it early is just because you need the money to survive. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to survive. But there is a big asterisk I want to put on this for when I get into why you might want to delay, especially with the CPP. So we'll talk about that in a second. And here's one of the more confusing things is if you didn't work in between the ages of 55 and 60 years old, you're probably going to want to take CPP at the age of 60 because the calculation is different. So you haven't worked as many years, so it actually might work out in your benefit. You might get more or to be close if you take it earlier because of the change in the calculation. Now, why would we delay? I mean, the very obvious reason is because if you live a long time, you're going to have more money, especially if you live well into your 80s, 90s, or even into your hundreds. It's going to be hard to make the rest of your money last, so this extra $7,000 a year increase with inflation is going to make a huge difference. One other thing, and I see and it bothers me, is when people are still working and they decide to take CPP is different because of what I talked about with the post-retirement benefit. But what if you're taking old age security because you want a check coming in but you're still working? I've seen people that have taken OAS, been still working, and got it completely clawed back so that they didn't get the raise the next year. It was just a mistake, and that's why you really want to look at what's your income, how much are you going to have left after tax. Now the other one is so we're going to delay CPP but not old age security. So you take old age security at 65. If you have things set up and you look like you don't have an income from any other sources, maybe you have cash or TFSAs or something, then you can actually qualify to get GIS, the Guaranteed Income Supplement, and allow your CPP to grow by 42% in 5 years while you're getting all this free government money because you look like you have, a very low income on paper. It's hard to set that up. You have to pre-plan pretty far in advance. I have a video where I talked about it, and I'll post that in the comments too. And another big thing is always RSPs. A lot of times people do end up with RSPs that are actually like just too big. They have too much money in their RSPs. It happens, and then it starts to become a tax problem. And so our main goal with the RSPs is to try and pick exactly how long are you going to live, and let's take that out in equal chunks until exactly the day that you pass away. But what might be a good thing to do is to say, well, we know that once we're over 71, we have to RIF. We're going to be having to take out more than we even want. We're going to have more income than we want. Our tax bill is going to be pretty high. Maybe we should live off our RSPs for a few years and allow your OAS and CPP to actually gain in value and start peeling out of the RSPs, and then we can sort of pay a little bit more tax on the RSPs now, but even it all out over the course of your life. And like I said, financial planning is funny because if we knew exactly what the rates of return were going to be, exactly how long you were going to live, then we could make the perfect decisions. We just don't know those things. And the other funny thing about it is that those are the 15 years where it means the most. This is when you really need a financial planner. A 30-year-old, a 40-year-old like me, I'm kind of just set. I have a plan. I know I'm just building towards this time. But 5 years before retirement and that first 10 years in retirement is when you really want to look, like every year, and you really want to plan your income and when you're taking this, because the longer you can make your money last, the less tax you can pay, the better off you're going to be, and it does take a lot of strategic planning and a lot of time. So, sorry for the long video. Thank you very much for watching. If you haven't already, please subscribe, and if you're into podcasts, I just started a podcast where I interview people from Edmonton that own businesses, just telling me their story about how they started their business and the struggles and the triumphs that they have, and it's been a lot of fun. It's called A Funny Story About Money. You can find it on Spotify and Podbean right now, I think. Thank you very much.